Hey Inventor users, welcome to another iGETIT live session. My name is Timothy Harrison and I'm a content creator and Autodesk consultant with iGETIT. If you have any questions about information that we show in this particular session, feel free to send me an email at tim@myigetit.com and I'll see what I can do to get you answers on those questions, again related to the content that we're going to look at in this particular session. So in today's session, we're going to be looking at Autodesk Inventor 2024, and we're going to be looking at a few of the new and updated features that are in the new version of Autodesk Inventor. In this section, we'll just be looking at a couple of items. First off, we'll be looking at updates to the section view tool. So we'll look at a couple of new ways to interact with that viewing tool. And then we'll look at a brand new feature called finishes. And with that, let's jump straight into Autodesk Inventor. So Autodesk 2024, not a whole lot of changes visually. You'll notice if you've used 2023 that it'll look very similar. So not too much different there. So the first thing we're going to look at is the viewing options for under visibility for the section tool. Section tool has been around pretty much forever in Inventor, and there's been one kind of minor but big change to the section view tool. So if we just looked at a half section, we're going to click on half section and we'll zoom up on this model. We'll select a face here. We want to start our selection on this front face. After selecting this face, then we have a mini toolbar that comes up in the graphics window here, and then we have manipulators that we can drag within the graphics window as well. So if we drag this back, notice now we don't have that kind of end cap anymore. So on this assembly, because we have more than 500 components in this particular assembly, that end cap doesn't display as we do the drag. You notice in the graphics window on the mini toolbar here, there's an option here for show cap preview. If we select on that, notice that this little kind of hatch pattern, this little graphic that they put in here for the end cap is displayed. And this is how Inventor worked previous, where you had this end cap and has to compute that when you're trying to drag. Now this particular assembly has 598 components in it, so it's not too bad, but you'll notice that it is a little choppy when you're trying to drag this across the model. And if you have a model that has a lot more, thousands and thousands of components for sure, that becomes really kind of cumbersome to be able to drag that. Notice now if I turned that back off, so the default setting for over 500 components in your assembly, this is turned off. If we drag this, notice that it's very smooth to drag across the model. So especially in a very large assembly, this is helpful to be able to really get pinpoint and not have to be so choppy and laggy to try to drag this selection for your section. It also is kind of helpful because you can kind of see through the model now without having that end cap as you drag. You can kind of see into the model and get maybe a little better idea of where you're at compared to some of the other features or parts within your assembly model. When we unselect off of this, the command is still active, but notice that it does put a end cap on the end of this, not the same as this one that's being computed that has the little texture to it. But just know that when you do let go of the drag arrow here, that there will be an end cap that is displayed, but doesn't have to compute it while we're trying to drag this back and forth. So that's one update to the section environment, or the section tool, for the visibility options here. We can select OK, and now this is actually stored now within this particular view representation. If we right-clicked on this view representation, we have an option here now on the shortcut menu for section view. So the section view is now editable from this point. You don't have to end it and try to recreate a new one or try to reposition it by having to recreate it. We can just select edit, and this brings back up that mini toolbar again, and then we can make additional edits to this. Say we wanted to make a rotation on this, we can update this section view, select OK. And now we've been able to update the section view from its original spot that we selected it in. Additionally, if we want to work in this particular view, we don't want to lose this section, but there's some other work we want to be able to do in here without having the section view. We can keep that section view. Again, right click on that view representation, select section view, and then we can select suppress. So the section view is still saved in that view representation, but we don't have to have it turned on, and we can still work in here. Then we can come back in here, section view, unsuppress, and that section view for our visibility is still set in this particular design view. So we can create multiple design views and have multiple different sections set up. You could turn them on, turn them off with that suppress option from that right click shortcut menu. But it gives us some additional flexibility and different ways to use the section view tool without having to recreate it every single time. In the past, you would have had to end the section and then recreate a new one. You didn't have as much control over it. So this gives us a little more control over how the section view tool reacts. If we look at the part environment, so now we have just a single part. If we turn on the section view and we select a face here to start it, notice because this is a single part. Additionally, if this was in an assembly that had less than 500 parts, but especially, we're going to look at a part here, this option for the show cat preview is turned on. So you get that little hatch texture pattern when we drag this across the part. Notice even in this part file, it still has kind of a not a chop, but like a sections that it kind of back and forth as we scroll up and down here, where it kind of it's not very fine in its movement here. If we turn that preview off, notice there's a few less selections, but we get the same kind of thing that we had with the assembly, where we can kind of see through the part a little more. Maybe we want to be able to get right on the edge of this the hole that was in here, so we can get a little more fine tune of where we're at with looking at this section view with that end cap turned off. So in both cases, with an assembly or with a part file, this cat preview option is here in the mini toolbar. But like I say, with the part environment, it will be turned on by default, and in the assembly environment, it will be on any assembly that's less than 500 components. It'll be turned off on any assembly that's over 500 components. But either way, you can turn this on and off within the mini toolbar here. Again, same as with the part environment, or with the assembly environment, that section view is stored. So again, then this works both in the part and the assembly environment. I created it. It's saved in this particular design view, and it says that a section view is already exists. It will give you a prompt. If you can select yes, and it will edit the existing section view, or you can click no, and you can create a new one. So then I can select on a different area in here and create a new section view. There's only one section view stored for each design view. So currently we're in the primary design view. So if I right clicked on here, in the primary, we kind of are in the same same situation that we are previously, where we'd have to just delete this section. We don't really have a way to access that particular section view. If we did a copy and then we edit this design view, now we have the options for the section view, and we can edit again. Again, like maybe we want to rotate this section view, and then we have the options to right click and select suppress. So just a few new options for under visibility for the section view. And this works for all the different types. So whether you're using the quarter section view, half section view, or the 3/4 section view, they all work the same as far as interacting with it, being able to edit and suppress that section view, and the same with that end cap preview. So it works the same with any of these. And then if at any point you wanted to delete that section view out completely, in this case we have it suppressed. When we're active in that particular design view, we select delete section view, and you'll notice that now that doesn't have that option in the shortcut menu anymore because we don't have a section view visibility currently set for this particular design view. So that's the first thing we're going to look at today. Kind of minor update, but probably useful, especially in the assembly environment, trying to get your section visibility in the right spot on a very large assembly. Having that end cap being computed the entire time can slow things down, so that being able to turn that off while you're setting that up can be helpful. The other thing that we're going to look at today is a brand new feature. So we're going to go back to this part file, and if we go to the model environment, under modify, we now have a brand new feature in 2024 called finish. This is a new parametric, basically a parametric appearance command, basically, and then you can add parameters to the appearances and faces on your models. Let's do a quick review on appearances. So as I've stated in a lot of my previous live sessions, with appearances, there's kind of a hierarchy of how they're applied to your model. So your first level appearance is applied with your material. So all materials have an appearance that is part of that particular material. In this case, we are 4140, and it had an appearance of steel polished. Let's just say we want to change this to aluminum 6061, and notice that the appearance for aluminum 6061 is aluminum flat. So this appearance is a part of this particular material. So that's your first level of appearance. Color comes from your material. If we select this drop down for appearances, again, as always, we have our appearance library selected at the bottom. Currently, we're selected at the Inventor material library for our appearances. So we're looking at the material library for Inventor and pulling all the appearances from that material library and displaying them in this drop-down list. If we select one of these, let's just select anodized. I'm going to select anodized light gray. You'll notice that up here on the drop down, there's a little star asterisk before the name of this particular appearance. That asterisk indicates that this particular appearance is overriding the material appearance. So it's kind of a quick way to just give you an indication that this is an override of what the material appearance would look like. So your second level is a part level, the entire model, by selecting it straight from this drop down. So your first level is your material, your second level is a part level appearance, and the part level appearance basically overrides all of the colors that were the material appearance. So the next level would be a body level appearance. So we select on this body under the bodies folder. This particular part has a single body. If you had a multi-body part, you can select appearances to individual bodies. We have that solid 1 selected, and let's select on Canary here, and notice that now that appearance, if we were unselected, we don't have anything selected in this model, notice that we're still aluminum 6061. We've overridden that appearance material with anodized light gray, but notice that the model in the graphics window is yellow, which is why if we select on solid 1, notice that our body has been, the appearance on the body has been overridden with our canary color. So our third level of overrides in this hierarchy is the body level appearance override. Next level, we can select a feature. So if we select extrusion 2 here in the browser, go back to this drop down, and let's select something else. We'll just select this dark red, and notice that we've now placed an override on this individual appearance. Notice that these other features that cut away from that appearance are the level below that appearance level on the body color. But anything that was that original feature is now that new color of this dark red. If we select on that feature, notice we'll see it in the drop-down list. It will show it up here under appearances as dark red. We unselect, you notice that, so this drop-down, or the indicator up here for appearances, will change depending on what is selected. So again, our first level is our material. Our second level on top of that is a body override appearance. Our third, we can do a part level for the entire part. Our third level is the body appearance, so that will override everything and color it, just everything on that particular body. Our fourth level is our feature level, so any feature level appearance will override and cover the ones below that. And then we have a fifth one, is a surface. So if we select on a surface or a face in our model, again, from our drop down, we can select another color, and notice that we can override that face color. So this kind of hierarchy of these 5 different levels of appearances will cover the ones below them. And then if you cut away with different features, you'll reveal the ones that are underneath and cut away from what was the, whatever was being overridden. So originally we had 5 different types of overrides. A surface or face override will override any of those ones below it currently. With the new, this brings us to our new finish command. So our new finish command actually adds now a 6th level of appearance overrides. If we select on the finish command, we'll have a property palette that opens up. One thing to note, if you are opening up an old version, if you have a project file from a previous version of Inventor, there is a new XML file. This XML file is finish.xml. In my installation, just for default, this particular file is located under Users, Public, Documents, Autodesk Inventor 2024 Design Data XML. So that's the folder path to find this particular file. So if you have a old project file, a design that you've been working on that points to someplace else than the defaults for Inventor, I highly recommend when you are creating your designs that you actually have a custom design environment that has a project file that's pointing to your libraries, to your content center items, especially if you're working on a network with other users, that they can all access the exact same data. But in this case, if your project file is pointing to a different location than the default, it will not have this finish.xml file. So you need to copy this and copy it into your design data folder, part of your project file, under an XML folder, and then this will work just fine. So if you do get an error, you go to open up a file, you select the finish command, and it says it can't find this finish.xml. That's why your project file is pointing to a different location than default, and you just need to copy this XML file from the default installation into the XML folder under your design data folder within your project file setup. So if you're unfamiliar how that works, we have some other live sessions, and we do have information in our Essentials course on how to manage your project files and how to access that location of where you're pointing your design data to. But just know that if you're opening up a previously created design using a project file that's not the default, it will give you an error because it can't find this finish.xml, and you just got to copy it to the right location. So anyways, moving forward, so we get this property palette, and we have a couple options. We have input geometry, so it's looking for faces to be selected, and then it'll give you an output of what the area of those faces are. So let's say we're going to select this bottom face here. So it gives us what that area is. We can select more than one face for this particular operation. And then below that, we have options for behavior. So now we have a few, we can apply an appearance. So this would be like our 6th level override for an appearance. We have some other options here as well. So we can do a material coating, we can do a heat treatment, surface texture, or we can apply paint. So these have different options to them. Looking at just applying an appearance, so this would just be as if we were applying an appearance by selecting a face, is kind of similar. But then we have a drop down here for different appearances to select from. So if we select, let's select something that's a little more obvious here. We'll do one with a texture, I think. Let's just go down to something like pink. This is something that's a little more obvious that we're looking at. So notice that those two faces that we selected, it's overridden those particular faces with this new appearance. We can also add a comment in here. And then from this point, we can either commit this by selecting OK, or we can select the apply and then create a new finish, which will keep the command open, and you can create more finishes on here. We're going to select OK. And notice in the browser, we now have a new folder called Finishes. If we expand this, we have a Finish feature. And you notice it'll highlight those faces that were selected in the graphics window. If we right-click on this, we can edit this feature. This brings back up this same dialog box as before, and we can then make changes. We can change appearance from here. We can do some other stuff to update this, and we can select OK. And now we have this feature in here. If we went up here and we went to clear, so we're going to say we want to clear all the appearance overrides. We'll select all. So again, this is going to it selected the face that we had overridden. It selected the feature that we created a feature appearance override on. It selected the body. So it has 4 selections of appearance overrides that were created in here. We'll select OK, and notice that this feature 2 doesn't work with this clear of the appearance overrides. Because we've created this specifically as a feature, it will stay on this model regardless of what we do with any of the appearance overrides up here in the quick access toolbar. Additionally, if we went to the Manage tab and we go to Parameters, notice that on the Parameters dialog box, we now have Finish parameters. So what's very useful now with this particular type of appearance is we actually have an area value that's calculated. We have the appearance itself is set as a parameter, and that comment that we had in there is also set as a parameter. Notice these two we can't change. They're grayed out, so you can't change them from this particular field within the parameters dialog box. You have to go back and edit that feature. We can edit the comments in the parameters dialog box here. So what's really useful with this is now we can create now that we have parameters here, we can pull those parameters into other fields, whether we're using them in a drawing or using them in a calculation. They're now data that is parameter driven and can be used in other places in our design. If we went back here and we start the Finish tool again, we'll look at what a couple of these other items are. Let's just select this cylindrical face and say we want to create this. We'll just kind of go through these. So we can apply a material coating. So we have processes that we can select from. We have the appearance for those processes. So if this was a zinc coating, we have the different zinc options for appearance. And then this gives us additional options for a description of what type of zinc coating is this. It's a short description for the actual thickness of this particular coating, and we can even give that thickness a tolerance in here. We can also, again, have a comment in here. And again, if we go back to our parameters dialog box, notice that on that Finish 3, all of these items for Finish 3 are all added as parameters that again can then either be used for calculations, can be pulled into drawing notes, into bill of materials. Anything here that's now set as a parameter can then be used in other places in your design. Just to quickly go through some of the other ones, we select a different face here. We select heat treatment. Again, we have different processes for heat treating, for case hardening or soft annealing, the different types here that are set up. And again, these are set up in that XML file that we needed to make sure that we have access to through our project file. And then we have, appearances that we can select. One thing to note on these appearances as well is these appearances will be pulling from whichever library we currently are selected in. So if you aren't seeing the appearance in this particular drop down that you're looking for, it's probably because you don't have the library currently selected in this drop down. So just keep that in mind, that this one is looking at the current active library that we're pulling appearances from. Again, here we have description, short description, hardness, and depth for our heat treat. Both the for the hardness, again, we can have a tolerance for the tolerance on the depth for a heat treat. If we select on this one for surface texture, we have again different types of processes: grinding, honing, lapping, polishing, super finishing. So we can select different items here, and then again your appearances, description, short description, comment. And finally, paint. I actually find this one actually very interesting, because a lot of times I look at using the surface appearance overrides as if I was painting the part. A lot of times I'll do that in weldment assemblies. If you do a surface override on all the faces on your part, I always kind of describe that as if you're painting all the surfaces of your part. Then when you do a machining operation in the weldment assembly, that machining operation that cuts away material at the assembly level will cut away that painted, quote unquote, area, and you'll see the underlying color of that particular part itself. So I find this one very interesting, that now we can actually truly do a paint surface override, basically, and create this as a feature. So then we have different processes for painting. Again, we can select our appearance for what type of color we want for that paint, description, short description, and again, a thickness and tolerance options for your paint finish as well. We select OK, and notice in the browser, each one of these different finishes, depending on the process that we've selected, will have a different icon. So whether it's an appearance, it's a paint, the material coating, heat treat, surface texture will have these different icons shown in the graphics window for those particular features. So like I said before, if we tried to clear these, there's nothing to clear as far as it's concerned with an appearance override. As it says here, this part currently contains no appearance overrides, because these are created as finish features. So again, these are treated as features, and then all of their items that create them are all created as parameters. So again, we can pull any of this data into a drawing. For surface texture, we can have a surface texture note that will actually pull that information straight from the model. So you can do all your designing and all your design intent in the model, and then your drawing is just pulling that information directly from your design. So this is a super powerful new tool to create these parameter-driven surface overrides by using the Finish tool, and gives you these 5 new ways to create that basically what I would consider your 6th level surface override. So these will override any of those other appearance overrides that we could create. So again, starting with your model, your material appearance, your part level or model level appearance, your body appearance, feature appearance, and then your surface appearance, and then now the 6th level overriding all of them as your finish appearance with its own parameters set in this particular part. So that's pretty fun. I'm looking forward to trying to use that more in future designs. I'm really curious to see how people use those in their own designs in the future, to try to capture all that data and be able to use that in other places in your design. So just real quick before we leave today, always remember we've got, lots and lots of other Inventor content. We have a brand new What's New in 2024 complete course coming out very soon, so keep a lookout for that. We also have additional courses for AutoCAD, AutoCAD Electrical, AutoCAD Mechanical, Fusion 360, Navisworks. Always keeping those and working on keeping those things up to date and ready for you guys to check out. So go head over to myigetit.com. You can see the full list of our Autodesk courses, as well as all of our other content that we have up there available as well. If you have any questions on this particular session, you can shoot me a quick email. I'll see if I can get you an answer on any of the content we covered today. If you have any suggestions for a live session in the future, I'd be happy to take those suggestions as well. You can shoot me an email again at tim@myigetit.com. Always curious if there's something that we don't particularly show in one of our courses that might be something that you would be interested to see or interested to know about. Might be something that we can get into a future live session. So I'd love to hear that from anybody that has a suggestion for that as well. If you're watching this on YouTube later, throw a comment below in the comment fields as well, so we can look at that as suggestions for future live sessions also. And thanks everybody. Thanks for attending. I hope to see you soon in another iGETIT live session, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.